kind of come to the same realization I
you
have,
suck at
which is
Hearthstone.
if you vote for Hillary
I'm
Clinton,
listening to the
you
radio, so I'm not
know
going to be talking
what you're
much,
going to
but
get. Okay, you're going to get
Arena
more
Time
New World Order, more
with a
wars in the
nice
Middle
new little
East,
trick. You might have heard
more
of this.
crime and graft at the top,
HRTracker.
more power to the
So we're going to be
corporations.
making an arena
Okay,
deck.
if you vote for Donald Trump, you may get the same thing, but there is some slight chance that you would get something different. So
The
you
game
have, what we
begins.
see here is the chance of voting for a known versus voting for an unknown. And Trump, after all, has had a very checkered business career, but at least he's been in business. He's started companies, he's built buildings, he's done all kinds of stuff. If you build buildings in New York, I guarantee you have to deal with the mafia.
What's it doing?
So he's had to deal with them. All right, that doesn't mean he's a member. That just means he's had to deal with them. And so maybe he would be good at dealing with foreign dictators who are a little more than mafiosa.
I really don't know what it's doing.
We have a choice of, we know what we're going to get with Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump is a great big question mark.
Do you know what, my friend?
I'll admit.
Do you know what? I don't think in the years that we've known one another, you and I have ever had a good old argument. So let's have a good old argument, Jim.
All right, get out.
Yeah. But I'm a good guy to argue with because
I've got no idea what this is all
Jim,
about.
The problem I have here is Trump speaks to the bullshit narrative that there are Muslims hiding in caves, determined the world over to come here and kill us because they hate our freedoms. And when obvious false flags happen in Europe, when I say obvious, the Charlie Hebdo attack was the most ridiculous example of a cabal organised false flag attack. And we know it is to pit us against one another, to create the illusion, this, Islamic fundamentalist illusion. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. We know that there are Islamic fundamentalists. We know that they have crazy ideas and they kill people in unspeakable ways. But we always...
Wait a minute. Okay, right there. You just made my argument. Okay. Yes, there's false flags, and yes, they're the elitists, the globalists are trying to push us into this conflict so they can come in and restore order. Yeah. But as you yourself said,
let's choose Valera.
So-called religion, which it's not.
Okay, so
it encompasses politics and social
that's
activity
gonna
and everything
be
else. And
here.
the bottom line is they're told to kill people that don't believe the way they do.
Yeah.
I don't find that in the Jews. I don't find that in the Christians. I don't find that in the Shintoists or the Buddhists. Okay, it's only in the Islamists.
Well, you say you don't see that in the Christians, but we come from nations that declare themselves to be Christian, and our governments, and they declare themselves to be Christian, and no government in history has murdered as many people as the United States of America. We won't know that.
That's true. I agree with you on that. But here's the difference, okay? In fact, I will even go you one step farther. I think there's probably been more people killed in the history of the world in the name of Jesus, in the name of Christianity, than any other, okay? But here's the difference. In Christianity, at least they pay lip service to the idea of love your fellow man, love your neighbor, okay, blah, blah, blah. That's we don't find that in Islam. In Islam, we find kill everyone who does not believe the way we do, because Muhammad ordered it.
Yeah, but hang on a second now, Jim. You're one of the brightest guys I've ever interviewed, and you know you are. That's a bit. I can't accept that, because the text itself is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Now you can compare that text to the Old Testament. And some of the most unspeakable things were done to people according to the Old Testament in the name of God. My argument is, Jim, that there are, and I think they're in. I think the evidence suggests they are in the absolute minority. A group of Wahhabi,
preparation.
Saudi. How do I put this? A kind of a Wahhabi version of Islam, which you see in Saudi Arabia. What we've done through our intelligence agencies is because we want to reorder the Middle East the way we want to. We want to create the Greater Israel Project. We want to do what Tel Aviv tells us. We have funded, armed, and trained those guys and sent them to commit utter mayhem in Saudi Arabia. And destabilize that country. I'm not Saudi Arabia, Syria. I should have said Syria.
Shadow Pen Rider, I think.
To overthrow the Assad regime. So the ones that are killing people, Jim, and they are in the minority, they're doing it with our money, our guns, and our blessing.
That's absolutely right.
What does that make us?
Who's right up there with them instigating all that? Hillary Clinton. Okay, so what? You're going to vote for her because you don't like Donald Trump?
No.
So we get more mayhem in the Middle East. And in fact, I can give you a date. September the 13th, 2013. That was the day that Barack Obama announced that he was going to abrogate the United States law that prohibited selling arms to known terrorist groups because he wanted to arm the Syrian rebels so they could overthrow the duly elected president of Syria, Assad. And of course, those arms that went to those Syrian rebels were a mixture of Al-Qaeda and other extremists, and quickly became ISIS. You know, so yes, we've created this whole thing, but this is again, what we're talking here is apples and oranges. It's one thing to be dealing with false flags and empowering terrorist groups around the world so they can consolidate their power, and it's another thing to talk about the innate religion. And you're right, you go back to some of the ancient Jewish writings, and they said kill everybody that doesn't believe the way we do. Some of the ancient Christian writings probably said the same thing, but these have all been repudiated now by modern Jews and by modern Christians, and of course the Buddhists have never been known to try to gather up and go kill everybody. What I'm telling you is that yes, although the Quran was written thousands of years ago, it is still the basic tenet of Islam, and they will tell you that.
Well, the Torah is still the basic tenet of Judaism, and I could argue
Volcanic Drake.
I like the fact that we disagree here. It's about time you and I had a bit of a spat, my friends.
Well, you know, Richie, that we can disagree.
Of course we can.
Well, we can agree to disagree, but we can do it without being disagreeable.
Of course, mate. Yeah, we've been doing it too long. Programs like this, both you and I, we never get upset with people because they differ with us. It makes these programs more interesting. What I'm going to say is that there is no more.
Alright, let's hope we get some weapons. Blackwater Pirate.
It operates the biggest open-air prison in the world. It murders people with practical immunity because, apart from the occasional resolution at the United Nations, I think the state of Israel is in violation of Hearthstone now over the last 25, 30 years. They are barbaric, they murder with immunity, they murder unarmed women. We've seen the videos on liveleak.com. How do you reconcile that, Jim? And then after you answer that, I want you to understand that what pisses me off about Trump and Alex Jones, whom I've known for years, you've known Alex as well, you know, it's terrible, it's inhumane, this crazy religion. They're ignoring the fact that a lot of these attacks are false flag attacks. We'll talk about that in a second. Talk about the state of...
Jeszcze raz? No. Tak? Serio? I guess Earth and Moon Farseer is the way to go. To nieźle. Smith or Sap?
Israel's numerous crimes. I believe it's the definitive terrorist state in the region. What do you say?
Well, you need to go back and study your history, and what you'll find is that the state of Israel was created. Well, let's go back to the Balfour Declaration. This was Alfred Balfour was the Prime Minister of England. And towards the end of World War I, he got a letter from Lord Rothschild asking that since the British looks like they were going to defeat the Turks and take control in Palestine, would he have any objection to them setting up a Jewish state there? And Balfour wrote back and said, no, we don't have any particular objection to a Jewish state in Palestine. That became known as the Balfour Declaration, and that is the basis for the creation of the state of Israel, all done by the Rothschilds. And the Rothschilds then went in, and they were the first to create a central bank in Israel. They were the first to put pipelines through in other words, it was their little foothold in
People
the
warrior.
oil-rich Middle East. So let's look at the Rothschilds. Okay, number one, they claim to be Jews. Okay, that's fine. Sammy Davis Jr. Converted to Judaism, but he certainly wasn't a Hebrew, and he wasn't a Semite, and neither are the Rothschilds. They are Ashkenazi Jews, or more specifically Khazarian Jews. They come from the ancient empire of Khazaria, which was between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and at about the 8th to 9th century, the king of Khazaria, just like Constantine in the Roman Empire, who suddenly declared that Christianity was the official religion of Rome, in Khazaria, the king claimed that the official religion in Khazaria was Judaism, and I suspect that's because they wanted to get into the money lending business, and at that time in Khazaria, 2/3 of it was either Christian or Muslim, and both of those at that time condemned interest on a loan as usury and a sin. So the king says, well, we're Jews, and that's when they became Jews. And then when the Khazarian Empire was broken up, a lot of the aristocrats fled into Europe, and these are the protege of the Rothschilds, who, by the way, have stated that they are direct descendants of the Sumerian god king Nimrod, who claimed to be half human and half Anunnaki, which is the ancient ones who came from the sky. So I think we have reason to believe that what's going on in Israel is not truly Judaism. Same thing I might mention here in the United States. We have some offshoots of Christianity, like snake handlers, okay, and on like that. And you're right. You said this, and you're right, Richie. You cannot judge one whole group by the actions of a few. But when you look at the extremities that are being committed in Israel, you just have to understand that it's not Jews, it's the Ashkenazi, it's the Khazarian Jews, self-proclaimed Jews who are trying to run the show. And surely you've had enough people on to know that the Rothschilds are pretty much at the apex of the banking power pyramid, which is trying to rule the entire world.
You're 100% right, but why can't we apply the same standards as the
Lost
Muslims
card.
and say that there are a minority, and they are, because there's over 1 billion Muslims on the planet. There are a minority of Wahhabi supporting, a kind of a Saudi-style version of Islam, and that you can't convince those who live peacefully. I live in South Manchester. I've got a lot of neighbours whose background is in Pakistan, or Bangladesh, or somewhere else. Muslim men and women, great people, the same outlook on life as me and my fiance. I need to earn enough money to survive, to put food on the table, and to clothe my children and get them to school. That's the way they think. So why can't we apply the same standard, Jim, to those idiotic jihadist nutcases, of which I don't believe there's more than a few thousand anyway around the world? I really do. I've not seen any evidence to suggest there's more. What do you think?
What I would like to see is that all of these responsible, thinking, caring, honest, law-abiding Muslims, as you talk about, and yes, undoubtedly that's probably the bulk of the population. What I want to see is them turn out en masse and stand up and point the finger to the jihadists and simply absolve themselves of that whole thing. But I don't see that. And that's because at the basis of Islam is the support for this killing of all your enemies.
I disagree with that,
that's the first recording.
Because it's only fair. You're the guest and you're here to